everyone, welcome to a brand new video. For those of you who are new, hello, my name is Jess. Welcome to my corner of this booktube world. Now today I'm going to bring you 5 books that I believe will really just kind of bring in the fall vibes for you guys. It is September, which means we need to start focusing on the spooky, the thriller, the fall atmospheric books that just want you to basically be cozy by a fireplace, whether that's real or whether you're like me who searches fireplaces on YouTube for the aesthetic, for the vibe. So without further ado, I am going to start with book number 1. Okay, you may have heard about book number 1. It is super popular now. There is a TV series that is currently, I think, in production of season 3, or maybe season 3 is currently airing. I'm not too sure, but this is a trilogy, and that is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harknett. Now, I first read this book either in 2013 or 2014. I can't remember which year it was, and I just picked this up randomly at my public library. I really liked the cover. I thought it was stunning. I wanted paranormal, and this definitely gave all of that. Now, like I said, this is a trilogy, so this is book number 1, and the reason why I picked it for just like cozy fall vibe, one, it's set at Oxford. So like, I don't know, when I picture Oxford, I think of like fall vibes. I think of like starting school and just like a really beautiful old and ancient ground, I guess. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't know, anytime I think of anything that's like in England or just that side of the world, I just think it's always ancient and unique and beautiful, and there's so much history. This book obviously gives all of that. Now, we follow the main character, Diana Bishop, who is a scholar, and she is just one day at the Bodleian Library just doing some research, doing studying, and she calls upon an alchemical manuscript. Now, she doesn't think anything of it, but when she gets it, she automatically notices that this is a magical book. Either witches or vampires, even demons, which yes, all of those are in this world besides normal humans, and she just senses that this is like a magical thing, and she really doesn't want anything to do with it. She kind of just looks at it, she's like, eh, and then she sends it back to the stack. But little does she know that this alchemical manuscript has been missing for a very, very long time. And not only that, this book is supposed to be about the book of life, how creatures, how humans, why they exist, how come they came about, etc., etc. But she doesn't even realize it until she starts noticing that a lot of creatures start just happening to be at the Bodleian Library. They're looking at her, they're very skeptical, and she's not really like for sure what's happening. And the reason why it's so weird that a lot of creatures are just coming at once is because they can sense it. But not only that, creatures aren't really supposed to mix. Yes, you can be friends, yes, you can work together, but like vampires and demons, not a thing. Witches and vampires, again, not a thing. You're really supposed to stick to your kind, and it's for a couple of reasons, but one of the main ones is that when you start flocking together, humans can just get a sense of weirdness. They can start seeing oddities about you, and of course they're in secrecy. So definitely something interesting happens, and then one of these creatures is Matthew Claremont. He is a very, very old vampire, just very popular, I would say, in the creature realm. He is also professor of like genetics, and he basically just comes from a very privileged and high esteemed family, and he comes to know Diana. He obviously is like very curious in the book how she even like obtained it in the first place, and so they start developing a relationship, which of course blossoms into something bigger, basically. So I highly recommend this book. If you haven't read it, I think you should read it definitely before watching the TV series. Not to say that the TV series isn't bad, it really isn't, and it actually hits the markers pretty well. But I love Deborah's writing. She definitely mixes real, obviously, events that happen in history versus fake ones, and obviously magic is definitely involved, and so this almost seems like a telling of something that's actually occurred in real life, which is what I really loved about it, because there's so many things that are actually true events or based off true events in this book that I'm like, wait, did this actually happen? Did this occur? And like, I actually started researching a lot of just historical things, and I think on her website she even has like a lot of questions and answers to like what she used in the book. So definitely pick this one up. I know that was a long-winded summary, but I have read this book I think a total of 3 times, and it's actually, besides Harry Potter, it's the only series that I've decided to reread, and it doesn't like tear me down. It always lives up to the hype in my head, and it's definitely a series that sometimes I just imagine escaping into the world. So definitely pick it up. Book number 2 is none other than The Other Lady Vanishes by Amanda Quick. So definitely based off the cover, I thought that this was perfect for a fall cozy vibe, just because there's fog, it's a little bit chilly, there's a mysterious thing happening here, and you're just like, whoa, okay, tell me more. Now, this is a murder mystery, so there are a few deaths that occur in this little cozy town called Burning Cove, California. Now, we follow the main character, Adelaide Blake, who recently left a private sanatorium kind of by a sneaky way. We're not gonna get too much into that, but basically she wants a new start at life. She goes to this place and it quickly gets hired at an herbal tea shop where it's kind of perfect. She gets to meet some towner people, and she also gets to meet people who are vacationing there. Now, the cool thing is people vacationing there are like movie stars and a fortune teller named Madame Zalanda. Now, she also meets this guy named Jake Truitt, who is a widowed businessman. Really and truly, he's there basically on vacation, but we quickly come to the fact, or to know the fact, that he has other reasonings why he's there. Now, him and Adelaide definitely develop a relationship of sort and just start chit-chatting. They pretty much live close by to each other. It becomes kind of romantic, and we kind of figure out, you know, his past and then Adelaide's past and why it mixes. Now, when it comes to the mysteries, the murders, Madame Zalanda ends up predicting her own murder, which is kind of crazy because we always thought like, okay, she's definitely a con artist, but she got murdered in the way that she foretold. And so Jake and Adelaide are like trying to basically solve it. And the reason why they're trying to solve it is because part of Adelaide's past comes back to haunt her. And it looked like it's kind of circling around Madame Zalanda's death. And there's definitely some just like creepy things and creepy vibes all around in this book. Now, this was definitely a fast read for me. It's kind of a, well, it's not really too short. It's like, I think over 300 pages, or just about 300 pages. I pretty much read this in like one sitting, one summer. I think this was a couple years ago when I read this, but it's definitely kind of just lived in the back of my mind. It's something that I had read during the fall season myself, and I was just gearing up for spooky season basically, and yeah, it just really left a mark in the back of my mind. It was definitely a murder mystery novel that I did not figure out who done it, who did it like in the middle of the book. It wasn't like that. Like, I literally was reading and reading, trying to figure out, okay, who is like killing people? Like, who killed Madame Zalanda? Like, how is that so crazy? Because she's so popular. Anyways, you guys, very intriguing. Definitely think you should read it, especially for the cozy fall spooky vibe. The next book that we have, book number 3, is called The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. So this is actually a historical fiction set in 1686. We follow an 18-year-old, her name is Nella Ortman, who arrives at a grand house in Amsterdam to basically begin her new life as a wife to a wealthy merchant named Johannes Brandt. I always think it's Johannes, but I think it's Johannes. And basically, as a wedding gift, he gives her a real life dollhouse of this grand estate, and it's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, all the details of the real house is literally inside this miniature one, and we come to find out that this house is a little bit eerie. You know, there are some dolls, things that kind of move around basically that are just eerily familiar to what's happening in the real world, and these are all done by a miniaturist. Now, Nella soon realizes that something is very off, not only with her husband but with this house. This miniature dollhouse is kind of creepy, it's kind of spooky, and basically Nella is trying to uncover what is really up with this house, what is up with her husband, why is everything so weird in this house. And honestly, guys, it was absolutely stunning. First of all, give a moment to look at this cover, how detailed and intricate it is. I love how vivid the colors are, which is honestly what drew me to this whole just vibe. I don't even remember picking this up. It's been a couple of years ago, but I literally just remember seeing the cover. And also, like, the people are kind of just like blue and white, which is also just like really creepy. And I never had, well, before this book, I never read anything that was based in the 1600s. So I thought that this book was amazing. I definitely think it's perfect for the fall cozy vibes. Clearly, it is cold. It is in the fall-ish season. We have a beautiful fireplace, and who just doesn't love a spooky dollhouse set in the 1600s? Up next, we have this absolutely amazing series called The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. Now, I've read a few books from this series and I need to literally pick up the next few books. I just literally have been reading so much lately that I feel like I have to read so many other books and then I can get back to the series. But why I picked this book for fall? It's definitely not because it's a cozy mystery thriller murder-esque book. No, it's not any of that. This is a fantasy book. This is, I think, a steampunk book. Now that I think about it, I know I said I didn't read a steampunk book in one of my other episodes, but this is definitely like an alternative steampunk universe, if I'm not mistaken. And we follow the main character. Her name is Irene. She is a professional spy for a place called the Library, which is just a very secret society that tries and picks up very important historical artifacts throughout different versions of time and other realities, such as our own, basically. And she is tasked to find a very important book in one of these realities, but it turns out that it's been stolen. And not only that, she has been assigned a kind of helper. His name's Kai, and he's just a little bit weird. He is absolutely beautiful. He comes from a very intriguing family. He doesn't really have a past though, and so Irene doesn't really know what to think about him. She thinks honestly he's gonna waste her time in finding this book. She really is that type of person who's just like, she has her checklist. She's like, all right, get the book, great, done, what's next? Okay, great, done, what's next? She doesn't have family, she doesn't really have friends, and so all she does is just do these missions for the library. However, because the book is missing, her and Kai just basically go on this huge adventure to win it back. Now, the cool thing is, some of these realities are festered with chaos, which means the laws of nature are bent to supernatural beings who just like to cause disruptions with magic. It's very unsafe, and typically she has to go into these chaotic worlds to retrieve such documents and books such as the one she's going to be getting. So we're definitely going to go on like a high chase adventure fantasy with magic and just different types of creatures, different types of people, and I absolutely love this book. I definitely finished this, I think, in, I don't know, it was like a day, 2-day reading excursion because I couldn't put this book down, and I immediately picked up book number 2. I instantly read that, and now I need to pick up book number 3, even 4. Maybe there's 5 books in this series. Dude, I can't even remember, but there are a huge amount of books. So if you would like to, during this fall cozy autumn season, maybe you could just read the entire series of The Invisible Library. Let me know what your thoughts are. I saved the best book for last. So this is book number 5, and it's The Library at Mount Shar by Scott Hawkins. I don't think a lot of people have ever read this book. I know I don't see it on social media. I picked this up at Book People in Austin, and I don't even know why, other than just the, you know, the cover made me gravitate towards it, and then obviously the synopsis was just kind of wild, but it's not really anything where it kind of gives you like, okay, this is exactly what this book is going to be about. It actually was very confusing, the synopsis, and I just kind of went with it, and I'm so glad I did because this is very near and dear to me. I'm thinking of honestly rereading this book sometime soon just because it just had such a huge effect on my life. And yeah, I don't even know what else to say about this book, so besides the synopsis, which I'm going to tell you about right now. So we follow Carolyn, who is odd, very odd. So she basically, like, her entire life she's spent at an infinite library. So just imagine that. She's studying in an infinite library, and she is raised by a man who could literally basically be God. Like, he might be God himself. And of course she has some brothers and some sisters. They're not all related. They're actually adopted by this person, and they all have different forms of study, but hers was just languages at the Infinite Library. So that is what she grew up with. However, some things changed her ideas about how she's living, who was her family before this man. She does live in a crazy household, and there's something about this man who could possibly be God that just sets her off. Now, we have another character. We have Steve, who's just an ordinary, regular, schmegular human being who doesn't really have anything to like live for, basically. And Carolyn steps into his field, basically. So she gives him a tempting offer to kind of be by her side. She gives him a pair of rubber galoshes and $327,000 to kind of be her partner in crime. He doesn't even know this lady. He honestly thinks that she's kind of crazy, which, I mean, she is, but he goes along with it. $327,000. I mean, hello, I would probably help a person do a couple things for $327,000, but he does. And he basically ends up in a war that ends up happening between Carolyn and her family, and he's not really like grasping it at all. I mean, even as the reader, like I was like, whoa, what is happening? There are so many things that happen in this book that are just like so out there but beautiful. I mean, the writing was amazing. I was confused at times, but all I will just say, just continue reading and everything will make sense. And I feel like the ending was so brilliantly done. It was so peaceful. It was something that I wasn't expecting the ending to even be based off of the beginning of this book, but it's something that I never knew I needed until I read it and then finished this book. And I will say, this book, when I finished it, it made me go into a reading slump, and for good reasons, because I had never read anything like this. I was so wowed and in awe of the way this book was written that I couldn't find anything to go against it. And honestly, I haven't found anything that still tries to even come close to what this book means to me. And that is so insane. I haven't found anything like this, and yeah, that's why I might reread it, because it's just absolutely thrilling. And yeah, I don't really know how else to like advertise this book to you guys. Just pick it up, read it, let me know your thoughts. I know, like I said, it can be very wild at times and very abstract, but it all comes to a fine little point towards the end where you're like, okay, I understand where I was this whole time. And I feel like I am rambling about this book. Of course I am. I feel like I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. I wish I could go through spoilers, but I'm definitely not. And yeah, this is book number 5. All right, you guys, that was the entirety of this video. It was only 5 books, but I feel like a lot of them are very action-packed, very driven, definitely ready for the cozy fall autumn season. And I really hope that you have come across a book that honestly sparks your interest. I hope that you pick one up for this month of September. And yeah, I mean, you're gonna have a wild ride with either or any of these books or all of these books. It's just absolutely crazy. I feel like this is a awesome list that I just gave you guys, like a treasure map to actual treasure, and you will be able to find it at the end. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyways, I really hope that you came across this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you stayed in the end, I don't know, drop a library emoji down in the comment section. Like I said in the beginning, as always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video. My Instagram, all of that will be down below, like I mentioned before. But with all that being said, I really hope that you have a fantastic day. And yeah, you guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.